other SNES, the one for the PPUs.
Yeah.
I better put a note on it unless we don't get confused. This can go in here. Actually, it makes more sense to put that up there, doesn't it? Yeah, I might do that actually. All stars. Hey, welcome in. We are just going to diagnose this SNES. It's in bits. We've had a quick look at it, clean up. And it's got quite a funky issue. So I'll show you. I think I know what the problem is because it's always the same on SNESes, but I figured I might as well stream it and get this fix done. So I've got my output on the CRT so I can watch it and play with zero lag. Which is set up now, so you've got a live stream there, and you've also got, I can like use it on my CRT basically, so I don't have to look at the screen now with input delay. Let me just show you what's going on. So it all looks kind of normal at the minute, and then it's going to say a game. And then look at the top of that now. Look how glitched the top is. So it kind of works, but obviously doesn't in another way. So this is obviously part of the scaling mode of the SNES. It's got like a bunch of modes, so things can go. You can see it's quite funny. It's just completely all corrupt in random places. So you can see the characters, but the actual map is gone. So this is going to be the CPU and PPUs have scaling modes to make like fake 3D modes, and I think this one's like the Super 7 mode. So we're looking at likely a CPU issue. It could be anything else, could be RAM, could be PPUs, but this one's more interesting. So check out what happens in this game, and these games are known working. 2 days ago I saw you fix Metal Slug. Yeah, we've done a Neo Geo. We've got another one to build. It's been on the floor to build for days now. Still haven't got around to doing it yet. But if we go on to this Mario, PPU is Picture Processing Unit. So there's a few chips on this board. They are, zoom out a bit so you can actually see something. So on the SNES, they've all got slightly different versions, but you've got the CPUs here. So that's CPU on. You've got 2 picture processing units, which basically generate the picture in different ways. They're responsible for different parts of the picture. You've got some work RAM here, and then other chips. But basically, CPU and PPUs on these two are renowned, at least for us, and doing them. They're renowned for failing, basically. Almost all issues you get with SNES is not working. Like, literally swap these 3 and they work. It's almost always that. But yeah, let's watch this. So, go into Mario. All looks pretty standard, yeah? And now watch this. So, doing nothing special, press left. Look how fast Mario is. He shouldn't be this fast. That mad. Try that for speed running. So we got to try and stop on the door. Oh, I've managed to get through. Now we can speed run. Legitimate speed run. It's just crazy. Like, other than that, it works fine. Like, this, shall I sell this as a speed running machine? Honestly, just, it works fully. But Mario is like, whatever variables inside the CPU are kicking in, it's basically like the game fully works, but Mario's as if he's hacked. I look like I'm stuck behind that now. Just mental. No, this is a PAL machine, PAL game, known working controller, power supply, AV, everything. But look, I can clip. You can fly up and down and everything. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Like, I've never seen it fail in this way. So we go in and out of there. Let's see if we can fly. See what else we can clip. Oh yeah. I almost don't want to fix this. Can we do some legitimate speed runs and get on the records for it? Because you can see the hardware, it's there and working. And now I'm just clipped inside. So yeah, this is, I've got to fix this for a customer, but it's a shame because how unique's that? Like a failure like that, no idea. But it's obviously, there's more than just that problem because like Mario Kart completely glitching things. But that, I just thought that's so cool that you can kind of, let's see what 3's like. Actually, let's investigate a bit more because I've never seen this issue. So if other people experience this issue, it'd be nice to kind of see on different games, what do you see? Because every game seems to act different. Oh yeah, see that fade in then. And then see Mario on this is normal speed. So it's obviously got something to do with how the CPU is processing, or to be honest, I think the PPUs. But then I didn't think, this is the thing, I don't think the PPUs can affect, like, say, Mario's position and where he's at and how things should happen. So the fact that things like scaling modes are affected, though, makes me think it's the PPU. But the fact that Mario goes super fast in some games makes me think it can only be the CPU. I can't see any other cause for this, or something else completely different. But other than that, Mario, the fading, let's die and see what happens when we die. Oh, come on, I can't die. There we go. Watch when the screen fades in and out, it gets glitchy. Of course, it doesn't that time. Let's go back in and watch the black fade out now. See all that glitch? That's not normal. So let's basically see if we can figure it out. Yeah, Lloyd's in the chat. I think as this your actual your SNES, this is the one we'll be fixing. So you've seen that crazy Mario speed run. If we find out what it is, I'm going to keep the component and I can always put it on another SNES. But I'm going to guess firstly at the CPU. So nothing's taken a visual look everywhere. There's nothing at all visually obvious wrong. There's no like shorted pins. We've changed the CIC to make sure it's not that. Everything's had a basic reflow just to make sure, again, it's not like pin damage. and this is all there really is to the system. So unless we're talking some kind of rare trace damage that's missing one pin, which I doubt, you're almost always going to be talking a CPU or one of these two PPUs. So we will, I think, swap the work RAM or the CPU. I think we'll start with the CPU. So let's start with this. Is that rust on the left? Will it be the left or the right of the camera? You're talking about the little model I've got. Maybe. Might you'll be on the right here. Rust isn't in the room, he's down out the way at the minute. But I've got a little model of him there. If that's what you mean. We can overclock it, yeah. But this isn't overclocked because if you notice the game played at normal speed. So literally everything else was moving at normal speed. The sound was playing normal, the video circuit's normal, and there's only one crystal on this. So this crystal controls the speed of everything, and this clock outputs a chroma and a system clock. So it's not that, it's something about the code being processed wrong and it actually glitching Mario's variables. That's why, in one way, I think it might be the work RAM. But, like I say, I know the CPUs typically fail, so that's where I'm going to start. So we'll just flux this, and then the only place to get these is donor consoles. So we've got quite a few donors. So I've got another one here. This is a known fully working, well, it's a Super Famicom, but the CPUs and PPUs are identical. So we're going to take it off this. We don't always have the luxury of knowing they're working, but we know this one definitely does. So let's just hot air this one off here first. Oh, you don't mean Rusty the pug. You mean Rust. Yeah, if you say Rusty, I'm just going to think of, obviously, my pug. But no, that's, don't know what that even is, just a bit of something from factory by the looks of it. Hey, welcome in from Munich. This will take about 1 minute, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches away, and then probably 10-15 seconds close to in a minute. Right, nearly there. 5 seconds, I'd say. There we go, that's that one off. And now we'll take the other one off the working one. So let's move the suspected faulty one out of the way. Let's hot air this one off. And this is a different revision as well, but the CPUs and PPUs are all compatible, so this will work fine. Hot air, going to use the Quick 861DW. That's the one I use. Intellivisions, I think they may not be on our site anymore. I think it's one of the ones we ended. We used to fix them, but I can probably help you fix it, depending on the issue. Temp and airspeed, normally 480 Celsius, 80% airspeed is pretty much the standard I'll run unless I say otherwise. That's pretty much the default. That's that one off. We will move this out of the way. Now I'm probably gonna just gonna run some fresh solder on that. So we don't need to remove the old stuff, just go over with plenty of new. And basically the old solder will mix into the solder ball. Like so. The stuff I'm putting on, this is flux. It is actually UV reactive, strangely enough, so there's all the mess that we know we need to clean up after. But yeah, flux just helps the solder flow, basically. Ooh, whack the microphone. Right, so let's put this new known working CPU on, which is this way, I believe. Again, shout if I'm doing it wrong way around. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's this way. Get it somewhat aligned, doesn't really matter too much. Ah, that'll do. Sorry, close enough. Heat gun is at 480 degrees Celsius, 80% airspeed. Oh, nice. What are you doing with PCBs? Are you making them, designing new stuff? Yeah, that's correct. 480C, 80% airspeed. If I don't mention it, that's my default air temp and speed. If I change that, I'll normally say like I'm lowering it or increasing it for whatever reason, but if it's not mentioned, that's kind of the complete standard. To be honest, I might just put the basic info like soldering iron temps and speeds on screen just as a default piece of text, because I get asked that question quite a bit, but I guess at the end of the day it also helps to get engagement though if you have to ask, so maybe I won't put it on screen. I think that looks alright. Ah, nice, synthesizer. You need to make some retro music then if you get into that. Start selling it for all the people that make the old Game Boy games. It'll pull into position so far, that's surface tension and heat, so if you've got the right technique, that chip will just align itself automatically. You just got to learn the technique. Yeah, if you want to learn this, just subscribe to the YouTube or Twitch on here. We've got members on YouTube and we've got subs on Twitch, and then I'll be doing sub-only streams where I teach you how to do all this stuff. So literally got it ready for if that's what you want to learn, that's what we'll be doing basically. You just need to subscribe to the channel, and then I'll send messages to all the subscribers basically once we're ready. Let me just take a look at this under the microscope. Very reflective. Yeah, so I see these like shorts here. All we need to do to get rid of those is a bit of flux and run the iron down. and they'll just pull off basically. So you won't need to do anything for them. Just tap the iron on, and they're gone. That's them cleaned. Wow, this is so reflective. Another one there, same thing, just tap on with the iron, and then that end pad has got quite a big blob on, so that one might need dragging out the way. Let's take a look. I don't think that's meant to be a joined pad. Some of them might be joined, but I don't think so. So you might just have to drag that ball out the way and then lift off. Yes, that's that one out the way. We've dragged it over to here, so now we just tap on again. Take it to the end, and then clean the iron tip, make sure it's nice and clean. And this one here, we then cleaned off. We don't normally get many shorts, if any, but obviously this chip, I couldn't be bothered to line it very accurately, so we don't need the microscope for that bit. Now, any other microscope's not quite as nice looking as the overhead, I think. We'll do the overhead instead. So let's take a look here. There we go, a bit better. Yep, those pins look fine. So do they. So yeah, I think the only reason we had that many pins is I just couldn't be bothered to line the chip. It was easier to late flow into place and then sort out them few bridges after. And then for cleanup, you can see if we put the UV light on, there's the splattered mess we've got to clean up. It's quite an artistic splatter. Let's see how well we did. Yeah, not bad. We've got a tiny little bit. It's hard to see. I don't know, the light's very reflective on this board, but yeah, that's mostly cleaned up now. It's just a little bit there, a little bit there, and then inside the pin chips legs, I wouldn't worry too much about that tiny bit there, but you can see then we've got basically most of it off. And this is a no clean flux anyway, so you don't technically need to clean the flux off. You just obviously don't typically leave it on the board. Right, so with that done, let me just catch up on chat, because there's been a lot of messages pinging off on there. This is my job. Yeah, I've got a few jobs, but yeah, this is one of the businesses I do. Repairing these consoles. Replacing the CPU, yeah, we've just swapped the CPU out with a known working one as well, so it isn't just a random one. We know for a fact the CPU works, so if it is that, this will fix it. The issue on this console we don't yet know. That's what we're figuring out at the minute, so we literally don't know. I'm presuming an intelligent guess is going to be it's the CPU, but we don't know yet. Top right pin was bridge, yeah, we just fixed that. Which iron, I do have a Walla, but this one's just a Al Cheapo from AliExpress. Just search for YIHUA 982 III, and you should find it. For subbing, if you're on YouTube, you have to click the member button or join button on the homepage, and it's like there's different tiers of subbing, and I think they're like called fans and super fans, and then the top one's called Rusty's Friends Club. So you want to be in that one. Facebooks, I will enable Facebook and TikTok subs. I just haven't got around to it yet. And then same thing, if you sub on there, you can come onto the sub-only streams as well, and all the same benefits. I'll try and enable it later. Pretty sure Facebook does offer it. I saw it earlier, but maybe it's an American-only thing as well. I don't know whether I can enable it, but I'll give it a go. You can clean under the package out with IPA. So let's see if this has fixed anything. I kind of don't want it to, because then we've gone back to slow Mario. Right, so 2 was the crazy fast one, wasn't it? Let's have a go with that. Universal tip, it's all preference. I don't even know what the tip's called, but it's like a spade tip. And that's what I use, but everyone's got a completely different preference what they use. Some like the bent tips, some like the straight point needles, some like the concave tips. Yeah, that one's a chisel, that's it. So I use like a medium-sized chisel. That's my kind of go-to. And what do we reckon? Slow Mario, fast Mario. Here we go. Are we going to go crazy? Oh, we fixed it. Well, yeah, good for the customer, but Mario's back to normal speed. So CPU has caused that, which is kind of suspected because, like I say, the rest of everything was working. The sound, all the graphics, the chroma, like the fact that everything else was working kind of hinted that the PPUs can't control the speed of Mario, surely. I'd have to do some really weird thing to adjust the RAM and the calculations that make Mario move, but I'm going to keep that CPU, unless if you want it back, Lloyd, let me know. Otherwise, I'm definitely keeping that. I'm going to make a little speed running SNES. We could probably sell that CPU for good money as well. It's failed in such a cool way that it's actually almost usable. Ooh, star. Tell how long it is since I've played Mario 2. Can't even remember where I go. There's a hidden door, isn't there, somewhere around here as well? Or have I already passed it? Oh, there you go, just as I said. At least I've remembered that bit. What else do you do in this one? Or is that it? Is that just... Yeah, I think you just get that, don't you? That was... nearly lost it already. Yes, I think that's working. Soldering gun with metal tape, mark scope, and cheap iron as you can. Don't bother with hot air. Yeah, it's pretty good recommendations. Yes, I get to keep the CPU, so here's the holy grail CPU. I'm going to keep that because that's. I'll warm it up and clean it. It's got flux on. But I think we should treasure that more than the working SNES. I don't think I'm that bothered about a working SNES. I'm more interested in this CPU now. We need a name for it, and then we can engrave the name on it. So that's the working one for the customer. Clean the bottom. Am I still on? Do I ever sleep? Yeah, sleep plenty. I just come on, definitely started coming on early as a regular thing now. So 5, 6 o'clock-ish. Right, so customers out the way. games out of the way. What are we going to call this CPU? That's the important thing. We need a name for him. Sorry, back guys. I wasn't an accidental mute. Just mute it while I'm doing some stuff. Let's catch up. Notice the CPU is completely stock. This is just a customer's that has basically failed. It is mentioned that Mario glitch happened a good while ago, and he's carried on using it, and then it's got worse. So it's obviously the system's failed naturally, and it's not been worked on at all until we've worked on it. So this has kind of naturally failed in that unique way, which is quite cool. Oh yeah, it's got to have something to do with Super In, because you know, all the SNES games. Like if you get say every SNES game ever released and you put them in alphabetical order, they almost all start with S, and a huge portion of them are Super. So it's got to have Super in the name, I think. So it might be the perfect time to try and start. You can make polls in Streamlabs as well. Then you can comment to do a poll online, I think, like on the stream. Let me just see if I can figure that out. Because I've always wanted to try it, but I've never done it. But this would be the perfect one. We can have a few name suggestions, and then while we're fixing the other stuff, we can leave the poll on screen. Super thermal, bro. That's not a bad one. No, Zach chair's not a Doom chair. It's just a Noble. I think it's a Noble. No, I'm the only Doom chair. They did want one though, but they're not getting them. Right, where's polls? Widgets, maybe. Events, followers, tips. A poll. There we go. Let's see if we can do this. Poll type. CloudBot. Please enable CloudBot. We have it enabled, I think. Trash Brothers. It's another name. Super Smash Clocks. I'll put all these in the poll in a second. Yeah, we've got that enabled, so I should be able to do is that how it's going to look? That's kind of an ugly looking poll. It doesn't look the prettiest, but there we go. Fade time off, enable custom. Where do I enter the actual poll? Save settings, right? There's a poll, but I can't find anywhere to edit the actual poll. Strange. Yeah, that hasn't worked. What are we doing? We're trying to make a poll on stream so we can name this CPU. I'll be fixing some Game Gears in a minute. I'm just trying to figure out how the hell you make this poll system work so I can we can enter questions and do things with chat. But I wonder if it's might be in the CloudBot section. Yeah, it is. There we go. Right then. Super fast CPU name. Right, what have we got for the options? We've got super thermal, bro. Let's just have what we have in SNES 1 or CPU 1. Yeah, we'll just do like CPU 1, CPU 2 and give it commands. Add. We have Forest Gump, why not? Forest Gump's the CPU name. Actually, we'll put Forest. I'll make these names a bit better. So, super thermal. This will be worth it, trust me. Thermal. We have. There's another good one. Super Smash Clocks, I like that. That would be Smash. So we've got 3 options. Supersonic, bit too simple, I think. That is a magic eraser, by the way, completely off topic. It's good for cleaning flux. Superstar Core, pretty good. Maybe we'll put that in. Super Effects chip, kind of more like it was. Flex, when soldering the premium flux, I use this Steriflux. This is my favourite one at the minute. Steri HTTF for Tachyflux. I reckon. Can we call this? I know an option we're having. Rusty. For no other reason. With Rust. Right, we've got 4 options. Let's do this. So, start poll. Oh, yeah, cool. Right, let me... I think I can just add it to the stream. I'll just add it onto... right, the screen's going to go black while I add it into the live overlays. So 2 seconds. Go to here. Browser source. Add a new... I presume you just start 1 poll at a time, maybe. So that's why this works. There being the poll. Get in. That's a bit big. Let's leave this there. I think if I put this on stream a minute, covering everything we're doing, because it's really important, and I make the fonts bigger. Let's just chuck him, I don't know, over here for now. And then we go back to the overlay. Right, so there's the poll. And I will, if you can see in there, basically if you type a comment that says Forest, for example, it should vote for Forest. Thermal should vote for Thermal. Smash should vote for Smash. And Rust should vote for Rusty. If it works, we'll soon find out. I'm just going to try and make the fonts a lot bigger as well, because they are quite small. Option font size, let's make that bigger. Let's save and see if that gets bigger. Yes, there we go. Bigger. Yes, we can see stuff now. Whoop, too big. Right, that's big enough there. And then option font weight, maybe. Yes, that's as big as it gets for now. So that'll do. So I can actually crack on with some work. But, oh yeah, sorry, you have to put exclamation vote, I think. So let's see if mine works. Vote. And I might get 3 votes. And you watch, this probably won't even work. And we'll just be spamming chat. Oh, mine worked. I'm the only one that works. I've got complete power. Why is only my vote counting? Best poll ever. I haven't done this on purpose, but literally my vote is the only one that counts. That's funny. Settings. Is this for polls? The poll is open, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's got to be some other setting somewhere that says only I can vote. That's quite funny. No, it says there's 3 votes. Oh, there's 3. Oh, no, that's all 3 votes of me. That is strange. Oh, I wonder why. I know why. Because I have... I think it might be the custom code I've written to hide the comments off the stream. Has anybody subbed? Like Ghost, if you put a comment on there, I think subs will be able to vote, and it's blocked everybody else, I'm guessing. So see if anyone who's actually a member or sub comments exclamation vote and then one of those texts. See if that basically pops up on stream, and if it pops up and then shows a vote, that's how it is for now. We're slowly going to convert the channel where everybody's got to pay to do anything. I could disable the custom code to make it work for now. Let me try doing that just for quickness. Chat box. I don't want to lose my custom codes. Let me just copy it to clipboard a minute. And then everybody's chat's going to appear then for now. Copy this code. 3. No, it's only my vote working. So it's not the chat thing. Polls. Go in the widgets. Let me see if there's any settings in here. Thin bar, primary, fonts. To create a poll, responses will be recorded from all platforms with chat cloud bot enabled. That's strange. So it should work based on what we've typed in, but it doesn't. Where else can we check? Let's click that. I wonder if there might be a setting in CloudBot specifically for polls, maybe. So it's active on Twitch. Don't forget to mod YouTube Studio. Let me just Streamlabs as a mod. Where do we go? By adding as a moderator. Community to YouTube, how to add moderator. YouTube Studio, setting community, enter the URL in the standard moderator box. Settings, community, that's where I'm in. That doesn't work. I've sure already done this, but I'm just going to go through it. No, can't see it in YouTube. Right, I'll start the game gears while I'm messing around with this a minute. No, the message didn't kill me. We managed to go for the coffee just on time, luckily. Yeah, I need some mods on the channel for sure. So we will get this poll up working in a minute, but at the minute, mine's the only vote that's going to count. So I'll keep jumping back onto this as we're going. Like I'll start working and then I'll figure this out as we're going. So this one's a nice, easy thing. We just need to transplant the chips onto these Game Gear boards, basically. So you've seen me do this quite a few times. It's pretty simple, but we've sold a few of them, so I need to build some up. Yeah, all the chat stuff. I don't think I ever got that working. Like the socials and things, but it's probably all linked to the same thing. I don't think the Streamlabs is linked correctly. Like the chat, I don't think is linked. You've got membership privileges now, so your chats pop up on stream. So we tin these, get some of these. Let's chuck this one on. Yep, I'm sure we can. We'll have to chat on. I'm trying to make a Discord that links all the subs in there as well, so we actually have somewhere to talk other than on the live chat itself. If you know off the top of your head while I'm working, you actually know where you go in YouTube Studio to add a mod. I'm sure I've done this before, but maybe I'd give up for that reason. You're meant to apparently go into like the studio and then community, and then there's meant to be a moderator's box, and that just isn't there. So I kind of give up after that point, which is why I think that's probably what I did, and I just give up on even bothering to add that, basically. Oh yeah, we better have good VDPs because I've only got 2 and I need to make 2. So we're kind of screwed if they're not. I've got tons of CPUs. The CPU could be bad, but we've literally only got 2 VDPs. Ah, yeah, you found access to the rusty emojis as well. Right, that's the Z80 on. Let's chuck this up. I don't know whether I'm meant to show logged into YouTube or not. I'll put it in full screen so we don't give away too much, hopefully. You guys tell me where this mod stuff is. I cannot find it anywhere to add. This is where it's meant to be, apparently. Meant to be able to add mods in here somewhere, but you can see it's just messages. I can't see anywhere to add a mod, basically, into that one. I'll have a quick look at Twitch to see if I can do it on that, because I'm sure it was already done on Twitch. But yeah, just send me a comment if you know where I'm meant to add Streamlabs as a mod. So for Twitch, I can just put / mod Streamlabs apparently, so that's easy. Let me go into Twitch, and I'm sure I did this, so Retro 6. Log in. Course Authenticator app, 1 sec. And then if anyone's on Twitch once I've done this, we can test at least if the, say the Twitch one works because we've got a mod, then we know the voting works and it's going to be a, it's just going to be the mod issue. Right, so I'm now in as me, mod Streamlabs. Yeah, Streamlabs already a mod. So has anybody voted on Twitch yet? Because Twitch is already a moderator. So Twitch voting will work and YouTube will work. Nowhere else will work, you see. There's no integration into any other platforms at the minute. There's YouTube and Twitch. So, yeah, the votes obviously aren't working then. Because the thing is, my vote works. What if I do vote, and let's say smash, and let me put that directly in Twitch. See, my vote works straight away. So that should be working. So maybe somebody type exactly that again, vote smash, just to see. And again, you shouldn't have to be a member, but it would help. But yeah, just chuck that comment in and see. It's got to be exclamation vote space smash. There we go, it's working. So Twitch works. So I bet you any money YouTube will work. But I just need to find out where the hell you add a moderator. I still can't find it. And then it's a shame like TikTok won't work, but they don't integrate into that yet. So there's not much we can do. Oh, sorry, did you actually say something? This is not all I saw on the message. I think you sent that many. I missed the actual original message. YouTube settings, community option. There should be 3 types of mods showing there. That's what we're in on screen. So unless I'm missing something, we're in the Retro 6. We are in the settings, and this is the community. Is that not the tab? And then obviously in here, there's no thing. Oh, settings down here. There we go. So maybe I better move this off screen in case anything pops up, because I don't know when we go into these settings how we're meant to show certain things. Yeah, community moderation. So, I'm sure I've already done this. So yeah, Streamlabs is already in there as managing moderators. So I think I can show this back on stream. So we have that, Streamlabs. So is that not the right place? Managing moderators versus standard. But in addition can manage block words. So Streamlabs is working, but apparently it doesn't work. So maybe somebody on YouTube can comment. Maybe you just haven't commented right. Exclamation vote space and then either Far East Thermal, Smash or Rust. Maybe it was everybody on TikTok voting, and that's why it looked like everyone was voting, but it was only me, maybe. So it does seem like it should work. So yeah, if anyone wants to on YouTube, have we had any? I can scroll back up and see. Right, so next chip, we've got to do these two. Vote Rust. Did that work? Were we on 2-2? I don't know if that just worked then. The thing's that small. We've got 2 for each. Maybe do another vote. No, so it's not working for YouTube, even though I'm going to add Streamlabs as a moderator in standard as well, for the sake of it. So let me just add Streamlabs there, add Streamlabs there. I'm going to delete the Streamlabs actually and re-add it. Settings, community mod, save. Right, so I've added If you add... I wonder if it's getting confused with standard mods. If I add it as managing moderators, that's what it was already in. So I've just added it now as a standard mod. So that's as much as I can do for now. I can't really do much more on that side of it. So we can see if that works. It might need a stream restart. We just won't know. Oh, there you go. It's working. Vote smash has just worked. Oh, I know why. You're changing your votes. So it is working. You can only have one vote, and when you're voting for something different, it's moving around. So that should mean now we can vote on YouTube and Twitch for that really important CPU name. But at least we've got it all set up now, and we know it's working. So we know how to use a poll now. And then I'd probably have to find a place to put the poll up. Well, to be honest, that's not a bad place, because it's only going to be a temporary thing when we actually want to run some kind of question. And then I presume if we stop the poll, that'll just hide and won't show. So it's not in, I can just leave it in the stream at all times. And then obviously when we start a poll, it just shows. That's what I presume will happen now. Facebook currently won't work, unfortunately. I have to jump onto YouTube or Twitch, which seems to be the main places that's like the live streaming seems to have the most support for stuff, basically. CPU we have tons of, so that's going to be this one. Definitely making use of that sub benefit. You can spam the corner of the chat constantly telling people to vote Rusty. See, my vote. Did my vote count as 3? See, I thought my vote counted as 3, but it must know that I'm the same user, so it's knocked my vote down to 1. Right, so CPU on this. It's over there, and I'm gonna put both on at the same time. Don't normally do this, but I'm just gonna go for a double drop while the board's hot. Let's see if we can do this. This might save even more time. Legs on this one look a little bit bent now. So let's try and get these back in position. I think they'll probably be all right. They don't look too bad, but they look slightly bent. Can you locate the SPC 700 chip? What's it from? What system? Let's zoom in on this one a little bit. Maybe a bit less. There we go. So CPU we want to align as good as possible. That leg looks slightly misaligned. There we go. That's in position. That's in position. So I think those two are good enough position that we can hopefully get this in. Let's go for reflowing. So hopefully this will be even quicker if you just align 2 up at the same time. So normally this is a minute above and 20 seconds down. So I presume with going over both chips, maybe a minute and a half is probably roughly what it'll take. Oh, and then don't let me forget I've got to put the crystal on. because these two chips don't come with the crystal at the minute. So that's enough preheat, I think. So now we'll focus on one at a time. So I'm going to go close on the CPU. And that looks pretty well aligned. And of course it's jumped over. So now we're going to end up with a load of pins on the CPU. We need to take shorts off, I'm sure. That's about in place. It doesn't look too bad actually. And we'll move over now while that's cooling. I'm going to move over to the VDP and start warming that up. And that's warmed up much quicker, so you can see that's already flowing pretty much. But I'll come off the CPU and almost already straight press down on the VDP. And that's it. Ah, yeah, definitely. I brought this fan, I remember, with all the talk about the fume extractor stuff. That's actually the fan I brought for that reason. So I'd just plonk it on the desk and use it as like a little fume extractor. And then I just stopped using it, and then for some reason went back to the big one on the desk. It doesn't really work well, but this one works even with the hot air. So I did buy it literally for that reason, to not have to breathe the fumes in. I just totally forgot about it. I was just using it as like a UV torch instead. Right, so those look okay. Let's do a, see if we can do like a, wow, there's lots of flux on this desk. How much did I use? We'll do a microscope view. To check them pins out. And then we'll put the crystal on. So the sponge is washable now. You just cut them off as you go in, or bin them and grab another. Just all part of the expenses, cost of doing the job. I get through a ton of flux, a ton of bamboo cloth wipes, loads of IPA, just all the stuff that factors into just doing the work, basically. That's all part of the price we charge for working on stuff, so it's covered that way. I think the vote then, considering it only worked for YouTube and Twitch, and everybody kind of buggered off from YouTube when we started messing around with the polls, I think we're going to call it the Rusty, just because we can. So this chip is going to be engraved to maybe live in a SNES one day, specifically for super fast Mario runs. So I'm going to keep him on one side, and we've got the Rusty chip there for whenever we want to do some cool SNES work. So let's just hide that pole for now then. Let me jump into here, hide him, jump back over. But at least we've got that feature working, so now we know how to use it when we come to use it. We don't have to mess around for ages. Now we want to check out this chip under the scope. Well, both chips. And we want to see what they're looking like. So nice and clean. And again, the benefit of the scope is you can go much closer. You're not just limited to the overhead. Like, you know, you can get this close and really focus in on them pins if you wanted to, if you were suspecting potentially something. But you can also just zoom out for a much wider view. That VDP looks a bit slanted. It's soldered on though. So the only thing with the scope is you haven't got much depth perception. Yeah, that one's probably, they're the pins I think I mentioned are slightly bent. So I might go over them with an iron there. They look a bit dicey. Because that was the part of the chip that was a little bit bent on the pins. They look fine. They look fine. Those are close, but they're not touching, so they're fine. Yep, so I think other than the top of the VDP, yeah, so it's just the top of this VDP. I'm going to just run down with an iron on them to push the legs down because they were ever so slightly bent before we put them on, I noticed. So let's go down, turn it around, and actually, there's my tweezers gone over there. If I pull up on the focus, so you can see, you can also see that tiny bit of whatever that is in there. Just a bit of dirt. So let's just put a bit of flux on. I'm just going to push down with the iron as well, basically to just push these pins into the board, because I think if anything, it's just, we don't need to straighten them really. They're straight enough that they're actually making contact with the right pins. It's just that they were up in the air a bit, so we just needed to push them down. And if we did want to straighten them, we can just warm up the pins and then move them a little bit while they're warm to get them in position. Like so. Can't really get a good angle there. Yeah, but that's it's done anyway. So yeah, the scope has its benefits. It's more zoomy, but a bit more reflective than using the overhead. It's looking all good to me. And again, if we want to get rid of that slight yellow with the flux, you can just warm it back up. Now clean. There we go. So that should be all good. We just need the crystal now on there. Yeah, I actually find it I find it easier to solder with a scope, but I've got very used to just using this top-down stream visual now. I've done it for obviously a month or so. I've kind of just got used to soldering by looking up now. Yeah, so Troy, for what you're after there is basically there's loads of them. You can get one called RetroPie that runs off literally a Raspberry Pi. You can get custom emulators like the Ambinix that are like handheld ones with HDMI output as well. There's quite a few, but the ones you'll be on about are called RetroPie. You can get like little cases. I've got one like a little N64 case that you fit one inside of and load it up. But you ideally just want to buy one that's already pre-set up for you, so you're not having to mess around with all the settings if you don't know what to do with them. But yeah, I've got one in a little N64 case, and I use a PlayStation, an Xbox One controller with it, like a real one wirelessly. So they are really good for playing the retro stuff on a big TV. So we've got all these boxes now. For links, we can't provide them at the minute because we keep getting slapped by TikTok for telling people where to get stuff. So, but if you go on Google and just search for RetroPie and just look around, you'll find loads of pre-made consoles that come, pre-configured with things on them. And the key is it'll be running a Raspberry Pi 5 normally. You want it running the latest one. But you can get them in all kinds of cases. You can get them just in a generic case. You can get them with no case at all. You can get them in like retro-inspired ones. You can get loads. Ah, nice, yeah, Neo Geo X. I think I worked on one of them, like the real Neo Geo X's, but that's the only one I've ever seen. Yeah, basically it's completely plug and play, pretty much. If you get them pre-configured, you just plug it in the TV, turn it on, connect a USB controller, so like an Xbox controller with a USB lead, or you can then configure it wirelessly. It's not that hard. So basically, yeah, should be fairly simple. Yeah, Angel 6, that's me. Same thing. I do the software as well. So yeah, from C# to soldering. Yeah, mornings on soldering, midday on software, back on soldering in the afternoon. No, this isn't a mod chip. This is a remade circuit board of a Game Gear. So I've got like the Game Gears here. Obviously the original circuit boards inside are green, and all these caps tend to leak and rot on the circuits, which destroy the board. So you can take off these specific custom chips that are what make the Game Gear, put it onto our re-PCB as we call it, so a brand new circuit board, and make a new Game Gear. And then you can run our new screen as well. So this is our clean screen. If we've done this right, hopefully, this should work, and that's presuming these chips also work. We don't know whether the chips on here are good, but let's see. Nope, nothing. Nothing at all. So screen test, this one's got liquid on, but it's our test screen. Cyan, that literally means the system isn't booting. So let's just check we haven't got any shorts anywhere. So recheck the soldering, basically. And I'm not missing anything, am I? We've got the crystal. yeah, I'm not missing anything. So let's just take a look under the scope. Well, just to zoom in. I mean, it could be. Actually, no, it wouldn't be that. Let me just check without the game. Yeah, the fact we're not getting into that, there's something typically CPU or Z80 is wrong, or we've got a bridge somewhere. So actually, let me jump over to this. How does I learn? Just all self-taught. Just get involved and get going, basically. There's no magic to it. The more you do something, the more you'll learn. So that's that speaker that always sounds like I'm farting on stream. That's that little plug-in speaker. So I think that's the Z80. Looks fine. Yep, so there's nothing wrong with the Z80. Cartridge connector fine. And it's not cartridge because we're not even getting H-Sync or V-Sync yet. Do you prefer hardware or software? It depends on what data, to be honest. Some days I prefer one to the other. It depends on what mood I'm in. So just pushing every pin to check they're all soldered. And if you guys spot any shorts or anything dodgy, just let me know as I'm going through this. All good. Let's just flux in between. I mean, he's on. I mean, he's quite slanted. I might just straighten him up for the sake, but he isn't the issue. He's literally on the chip. I just wait for this iron to warm. There we go. So warm the pad up. And nudge him over while we're warming up. A bit straighter. So none of these are a problem. They're just the fact that when this chip's been taken off, the legs are already a little bit bent. So just a positional thing, but they weren't not soldered on, so we won't bother rechecking anything for that. You need a bit of flux because they're a bit of a dry joint now, but they're solid at the minute. Oh, there you go. These are floating completely. So let's just reflow the VDP. That's again because basically these pins weren't, I mentioned it before I put this down, but you can see the legs on this were slightly bent. So these ones were up in the air. Looks like these ones were as well. So I could like go down with the iron. We've got two options, just run down with the iron. But for the sake of it, I'm just going to warm up the chip again and push the chip down firm once it's molten, and that should get the pins all back in. Do we ever get prickly or hot and cold sweats when working? No. The only thing we used to get in this room was headaches, which I get anyway, but we've put like a fume extractory thing in, a dehumidifier. The room's also got like next to no oxygen because there's no windows. There's basically one like double door, so you don't get much air, but since we put the dehumidifier in, that's helped a ton with like the air quality. You notice it massive. So we'll get this chip nice and warm first, so every single pin is molten, and then we'll push the chip firm down into the solder. And then that should bind all these pins. So we did that the first time, but what's probably happened is I've either let go too soon or pushed down too soon, so the pin's never sunk into the solder, basically. There we go. Approximate date of the new clean screen, where I'm basically waiting for the existing ones to sell. The problem I did was I announced the 4, which I never normally do. I said there was a new clean screen coming out, and then everybody stopped buying the 3, thinking like, oh, it's going to come out soon. It'll only come out when we've sold the old stock. I think we've still got quite a few hundred of the 3. So there's no set date. I've designed it and it's sitting here, but I'm not going to make a production run until obviously the 3 is pretty much sold out. So there's no specific date yet, but it won't be that long because we haven't got that many left, but we've got to sell the existing stock. So if I release the 4 before the 3, I mean, what I could do is just release the 4, lower the price of the 3 until they're gone. That's an option I could actually do. So I might, that's actually not a bad idea. I might get them into production soon so we can get them selling, because I've had it made for like 6 months, I reckon now. I've just not released it. Right, so those pins now should be nice and firm. Let's have one quick look with the scope. So back onto these pins. Yeah, everything's flown better there. I think we just hadn't either hadn't given it enough heat, or because, yeah, they all look good. Because we tried doing both chips at once then, you know, we tried to put both of these on at once to see if it saved time. I think it just stick to doing one at a time, I think, is the answer to that. So I'm going to presume that's the problem. It might not be anything related to it, but I'm going to presume it is. I could make some kind of socket board, yeah, it's been mentioned a few times. Be quite difficult because I don't think there's sockets for these chips, but I could figure something out so you could like basically push fit the chip in. Could maybe even 3D print a bracket, manually insert pins, you know, like kind of make a one-off pogo pin test board, because I'd only really need one, and then I can test the chips. Just letting these cool down a second before we power it up. The sponge is, well, they're called magic erasers, but they're melamine sponges, basically. Yeah, so this is the V3. Nobody's seen the V4 yet. I haven't given away the details of how I've made it, so people will clone it as soon as I start releasing it, so I'm trying to keep it out of sight before I do at least release it, so clones don't appear before the official one does. Right, so that should be cool enough. So let's see if this is now going to work. Nope, no difference at all. So that's coincidence that the VDP was not on. Great. So Cyan, I'm going to guess, is CPU or Z80. That's the typical problem with Cyan. We can check the wiki. So I've made a list of common failures when you're doing these things. The two ASICs. So if we go to Vetro6.wiki, Game Gear, and then to repcb to ASIC, scroll to the bottom, we've got this table full of tests, every one I've done and what you get. So you can see the Cyan with no audio, no border. Oh, shocker, VDP. It's been the VDP 3 times. If we get audio but a Cyan screen, it's been the CPU. So it's looking like, shocker, the VDP is almost definitely going to be bad again, which is kind of a problem because I've got one left and we needed 2 boards. But it's looking like this is going to be faulty. So let's just put the only other one. Well, actually, no, I've got some more in Game Gears below me, so I can actually do it. So let's just swap the VDP out then. Let's put a dot on this one so we don't get confused, because I have been known to take the chip off and put the exact same chip back on. So let's try not do that this time. One chip is already made, so this is the one chip here, re-PCB for one chip. This was a prototype one with bodge wires, but I'll have these in hand in about a week or two. These have been mass produced as well now. So yeah, we have the 1A6 coming, and they'll work on the VA45s as well as the VA1s. So basically every single Game Gear that is a one chip, the re-PCB will work on. Yeah, I don't bother adding the flux too soon if I'm already warming the board up, because it'll just get consumed. I tend to add the flux at the start a little bit, warm it up, and then once the board's practically reflowed, add a bit more flux to let the connections bubble up and reflow nicely. So that should hopefully be on okay. Let's just do, I think it's quicker to do this than the microscope when we're just inspecting pins. It's good enough to see, and there's not as much reflection. I actually find that I've got used to this way now, and it's easier. You can see certain pins that need like a desire a bit more solder there, but they're solid. So you want ideally to see this nice little ball, but again, perfectly soldered, so we're not going to mess around. That looks like just a black little blob or fleck of something. Yep, so that's fine. These pins look a little bit slanty, but all on solid. So again, that's just the chip when it's been removed or sat in that box. The legs have slightly moved. If I take them clean off a Game Gear and put them straight on, they tend to be perfectly straight. But if you store them in a box, sometimes they just get nudged a little bit. All right, so I think that looks okay. Rework station, I use the Quick 861DW. Heat is 480C, 80% airspeed. Yeah, I want to do probably a tool setup link and maybe some Amazon affiliate stuff or something, so you can just jump on and see what I use. Been doing this, I think 6-7 years now, the retro stuff. Right, so we have a bit of a sticky mat, but not too bad. And shall we see if it's the same thing it always is, a bad VDP. When isn't it? Oh wow, it's actually not a bad VDP. Yep, no border, same thing. Tell you what, let me just... Haha, bad clean screen. Maybe? No, but the clean screen's changed the behavior. Oh no, ignore me. It's just because I haven't got the ribbon plugged in, so it thinks everything's missing. So no, nothing to do with the clean screen, just me being an idiot. So CPU was at 80. We've never had, on the wiki, we've never had it where we get a cyan screen and no audio and it'd be anything except the VDP. So this will be the first time it's something else. So let's change CPU, then that means well, it doesn't necessarily mean the VDP is working, but it means we've potentially still got one spare. So back under we go. And this time we'll do CPU. This is a Sega Game Gear, the original. This is a new circuit board I've made for it, but we're just transferring you can see the real Sega chips here. We're basically transferring the Sega CPU, well, 2 CPUs and a video processing or video display processor chip over, a VDP. But it's not working at the minute, so we're just taking off the CPU and putting a new one on. And it's very rare that it's a CPU. Like we've had 1, 2, 3, 4. We've only had about 5 CPUs fail in like 100 Game Gears. So it's not to say it can't be, but it's rarer. You know, it's not very common. My instinct is on the Z80. If it's not the VDP first, it's the Z80 normally second. But I just figured I'll swap the CPU. Oh yeah, I enjoy. I spend a lot of the time where I'll position things as well in a way that makes it look nicer, even if it's slightly less electronically good. So if I have to run, say, a few traces a bit closer to other things, or you know, put things in non-ideal locations so they just look better visually, I do actually do that on some of the designs, because I think it's also nice people like to look at a nice circuit board just as much as they like to have a functional one. Plenty on there. The hot air will melt other parts, so you'll find like these caps will probably be reflowing roughly at the same time as the CPU is, but because I aim the air directionally at the CPU, it's more focused. You'll tend to get obviously more of the heat on the actual CPU. If I was to knock the other components while we're heating up, say I knocked a cap while we're doing that heating up, I'm sure it would, fly off the board. But if it's just warming up, it won't go anywhere because the two blobs of solder either side will grip the chip and keep it on the board. So a bit of it's just the technique, but it won't just go flying off on its own. Right, so that's another CPU one. So now we've got 2 VDPs, 2 CPUs. I've had really bad luck before where I've literally had one day where I'd put 4 CPUs and VDPs on a board, and I was adamant there must be something else going on and something wrong. And it was just as simple as I had loads of bad chips in a row. So you can get a very bad streak of Game Gears where they're dead, but that's very unlikely. Just do a bit of cleanup while I'm waiting for it to cool down. And let's try again. Surely we haven't got another bad one. Yes, we have. Wow. Right, and Z80 then, and that's, of course, the last thing we always pick. Yeah, this is a Game Gear, so a remade circuit board, obviously, that I've made. And we're just having fun with this one. It's had 2 CPUs on, 2 VDPs on, and we're getting complete cyan screen at the minute, which is basically complete deadness. So we really aren't having much luck with it, but there's only realistically this chip left because these are the only 3 chips you need to put on. There would be a rare exception where potentially the re-PCB itself could be bad, but I've only ever had one, literally one, and it was strangely enough, the very first one I picked out of the stock when it arrived. So whether it had some impact damage with it being the one on the top, or whether it was sheer bad luck, but out of all of them we've done, and we've sold close to 500 now, we've only ever had one, and I'm the one that's had that faulty one. So it's very likely just got to be the chips. And the fact it's had a CPU and a VDP twice makes it less likely that it's them. But like I say, you can get a bunch of these bad. Ooh, knock that miles away. We can, yeah, a way of testing them, we hot air them on and off. Normally what I'll do is, if I've got the time, I'll get one of these boards that fully works, and I'll sit and just swap a load of Z80s over one at a time to prove the console still works. And then we have a known working, known working set of chips. And then I'd do the same for like the CPUs. I'd move over and get a fully working Game Gear and just transplant CPUs over. Takes more time, but in the long run, when you get issues like this, it can save you time as well. Right then, what are we thinking? All 3 chips swapped and still bad or not? Still a bit warm. Powering up though, we have to wait a minute. Yeah, we can fix your Game Gear, that's what we do. Just go to retro6.co.uk and go into send in services and you can book it in there. Pin 21 on which chip? The Z80 we've just been on. Slightly bent leg there, but I saw that, but it's not out the way. That's on solid, solid, solid. No, I think they're all good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 pins. Yeah, so pin 21 there's just bent. I can straighten him up for you. In fact, just jump on the scope to do that. So I can see a bit of depth. But yeah, it's not touching, but we'll nudge him over. So he looks a bit straighter. And that's that. So obviously, a bit of flux that we can clean up, but no point doing that if he doesn't boot. It can be a bad clock, yeah. It's unlikely it's brand new, but I was suspecting that because, again, on the 2A6, the clock, we've not done, well, actually we have done quite a lot now. But yeah, clock it could be. Yep, so unlikely to be all 3 chips twice. So I'll tell you what then, let's take the clock off and put an original on. Let's just see. Let's go over there as well. Let's just check. You can see the clock is on correct before I remove it. And it's the right way, so I'll just take him off anyway. And we will move these resistors down because these are the resistors you're meant to remove. Well, actually, you're only technically meant to remove the left one. The right one's a silk screen error, so we'll just move that one out of the way. And then we'll put in an original clock like this. I'm going to just solder it from the top. Try that. No. Strange one. Let's just check we're not getting audio. No way. Cartridge connector. cartridge connector was the problem. And obviously we won't get game audio now because I've got the test screen on, but never had that yet. Yep, and now we've got yellow screen, so that's now booting. So yeah, cartridge connector. Oh, this game. So let's try to put the cartridge connector back in. Maybe I've just got the cartridge connector slightly slanted. It's definitely this cartridge connector. Yep, so screen test on, see cyan, remove this, border fine. So yeah, first time I've seen that. Oh, I say that, it could be this connector, but it's more than likely the actual game slot. There you go, that one's fine. Wow. So there you go. Cartridge connector all along. Well, we don't know because obviously we didn't see it booting, but yeah, maybe. I'll probably say on the wiki as well, maybe to boot it without this. If not, I'll add that to the wiki as part of like the build test guide. Check for border first, because obviously one thing you want to do is you can't test for audio without a game in, but you could remove this, plug a clean screen in, and at least test that you get border. And by border we mean, so you can see obviously this is a border, but it's coloured, so that the game gear is booted with colour. If you turn on screen test though, this gives you a border and tells you if everything's working. So the outline border is telling you you're in debug mode. The colour of the screen black means everything's okay. The slight flickers are normal. The debug mode just works like it's when it's doing calculations. But generally black is everything's good. You've got P clock, H sync, and V sync. So that tells you effectively the console's booted. If I restart, you'll see as I hold reset, you gain this screen because the game gear's not running. So basically, I'm just holding the reset button down like this. And when I hold that down, that's the game gear not out of reset yet. I let go, and that's the game gear running. So I should probably add that to the wiki to say, you know, check without a game slot in first. So that one needs to go in the bin. So that's caused us some headache. First time I've seen that, so I'll add that to the wiki as well. That if you're getting cyan screen, no boot, check the game slot. I'd remove the game slot and see if it changes. So that's one working. I've got to build two. So now I guess what we can do is reuse the Z80, the CPU, and the VDP, and the crystal that we just put on this board, on and off. Let's use all four of these on the next one. And if that works, we know we would have had a working Game Gear straight away if we hadn't have had a bad game slot, basically. And we normally keep known working, like this is a known working screen, it's just got IPA in, so we use it for testing. And we do normally keep the game slots as known working ones, but I think we've run out the other week, so we've used all of them, and that's one of the major reasons I keep a completely known working game slot and screen in the tub, so we don't have this issue. So that's just like wasted an hour of our time for nothing. But that's one working. This will need ribbons and a connector, but we'll do that after. Have we got any game slots up here? New ones? We haven't, have we? We better grab some of them. So put them out the way.
You're not going to need this, like that reef PCB.
The one I've given?
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's for customer. Just
yeah, but you're not going to need it to test with that one.
nah, I'm good with that now. Right, another one. Oh, I've got one here. No, it is not touchscreen. That was just liquid damage on that screen you saw. The crystal, to be honest, the original crystal is perfectly fine. It's just I tend to chuck my my crystals on. But yeah, the original crystal works just as good as ours. It doesn't need ours specifically. Right, next one. So this should hopefully go a bit smoother. We should just do it in one go and it'll go correct, hopefully. Yeah, with the 2A6 were made before we made the crystals, so I only have a handful of them anyway. I've literally got, physically on me, I've got that many left now. So once we built 6 more re-PCBs of the 2A6, we have to use the original crystals anyway. All the others were made and kept at the factory. So the 1A6 coming with them crystals, but I've just got a handful I can actually use. So the 2A6 can go with the original crystal for now. The next batch will have, obviously, the flat ones on straight from factory. Right, so we just need to do this all over again. And this should be a lot quicker this time. Because that first time, I don't think it took us too long then to actually do the initial work. It's just, yeah, famous last words for sure. We should be able to blitz through this. The one thing I'm going to do though is I will do the CPU and VDP on their own separately. I won't mix them together like I did on that one. And that's all them pre-tinned. Chuck this crystal on before we forget. So we're going to use all the existing parts off that last board, just out of curiosity to see if we would have had a working Game Gear from the very first go or not. I kind of hope we don't, because then at least we don't waste as much time, but we'll soon find out. Right, crystal on. We'll go same again. We'll go left to right. We'll do Z80 first. What do I use to wipe the flux off? Make sure the board's still hot. That's the biggest thing. And then just a melamine sponge I use. So magic erasers they're known as normally. But the biggest trick is making sure your board is still nice and hot. So what you want to do is wait for the solder to solidify, and pretty much as soon as the solder's solidified, you want to wipe off. You don't want to wipe off before because you'll drag solder off the chips, but you don't want to wait much longer than that because the flux gets a lot harder to remove once it cools down. So another 3 seconds, and then wipe off. And what I'll tend to do is have one side of the sponge soaked in IPA, so I can kind of squeeze like that, and then the other side drier to wipe it off. And then you get a nice clean finish. And then this flux I use is actually UV reactive, so we can check how good of a job we did at cleaning. You can see, not bad. You'll still get flux in the pins under there, but you can obviously use this, keep a UV torch, and you can see the sponge is covered in flux, and you can like wipe away like this. It depends how clean you want to go, basically, but it gives you a good indicator of where the flux is at by seeing it under UV light. And you can see, like on the bench underneath, the whole bench is covered in the flux, obviously because we haven't cleaned the bench yet. So yeah, that's now just wiped even more flux everywhere. So if we just get a cloth, say, and wipe that now. You can see there, well, it still doesn't look it, but do an actual bench clean like we would, you'll be able to see there's none. So it just looks like it's on the overhead there, but you can see on the bench, there's not much, whereas on the sponge, it's that bright, it's just reflecting everywhere. So that's the flux there. And then I think the bench is just glowing with, yeah, there is basically still tiny bits in, but all this isn't flux here. You can see it's on the hands. It's all over the board there. So you get a cloth and wipe away like that. You can obviously get rid of it that way. And then that's where you see you're just basically left with, which is fairly typical then, flux under the chips. You don't tend to get that out. You can, if you, again, put it in an ultrasonic cleaner or a dishwasher, you'll fully clean that board. But that's good enough for us. And this side hasn't really got that much, like a bit of wipe over there from the last time. You can see that's basically gone. But if you want to get the board absolutely spotless, having a UV reactive flux is ace, because you can literally see exactly where. Like, you look at this board and you think it's spotless until you put a UV light on it and you can see there's still like a bit of flux residue. So it's really cool for visual observation, but again, you can also lead you down a rabbit hole of wanting to clean your board that much. You just go a bit crazy. So this chip can go straight down. And we'll do one at a time this time. So instead of the, doing the CPU and the VDP at the same time, I'm just going to focus on the CPU. And the CPU is the only chip I really want to get aligned more than the others, because if this isn't aligned well, then you can end up with bridges that you have to remove. So I just see we've got 5,000 likes or something off one person there on TikTok. That's crazy. Am I still working on the very same board? This is the second board if you've like gone away and come back. We've got the other one working. It was working all along, very much likely. It was the actual game slot, the black game slot that we've plugged in, was causing the issue. I've never seen that before, never once have we had that issue. So I'll add that info to the wiki. Importantly, to test the first boot without a game slot plugged in, just to make sure you're getting black border. And then if you plug it in and you test again with no game in but just the game slot connected, and you get any change in behavior, that can indicate a problem basically. So yeah, it was literally not even on the radar of suspected problems at all, because it's never happened before. So but at least we figured that one out. We'll get the same VDP that we took off. Let's put him on. And the VDP, you don't need to align that well. The pin spacing's wider, so you don't really get any issues with shorts normally if you don't align it very well. Rusty is probably with the missus. It's not far off, about an hour from his food time, so he's probably in the kitchen hovering, waiting for food. Somebody actually said earlier as well, is that Rusty on the board? And literally, I thought they meant Rusty was in the room somewhere. They put it like as Rusty on the left. And they would literally mean Rust as in, is the board Rusty? But yeah. My first thought is, where is Rusty? How's he got in the room? What's that? Got the crystal on, got the 3 chips on. So now we see if we would have had a working Game Gear on the first one within however long that was. What, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Oh yeah, shall we give him some bling? Shall we literally put that SNES chip around his collar? And dare we look at how clean that is? Ooh, not bad. Just missed a spot up there. That's clean enough for use. I wonder what the hands are like. Not bad, because they're constantly in IBA. Just in the grooves of the fingernails, got some flux. Right, so let's now test this. Repairing Game Gear. So we need the ribbons for the clean screen. Oh yeah, I rarely use cotton tips or anything else. Use a magic eraser and then wipe down the board with bamboo cotton paper. I've never seen anybody else cleaning the boards like that, but I'm sure they'll. I've had that many people ask about it now. I'm sure it'll become a household norm once people realise how good it is. Right, so I'm going to ignore all of my previous advice, and I'm going to plug this game slot in, and it's also a different game slot, so we've got no idea if it works. So do as I say, not as I do, kind of rule. Let's put Sonic in, audio in, and let's not wait for it to even cool. I think it'll be cool enough by now, and let's go straight for a boot. No, oh, right, if you plug the clean screen in, you might find something out. Oh, so there you go, another cyan one. Oh, there we go. Click that off. So we have black screen. So is that just actual poor game load? Because this Sonic I know is not the best at booting. Nope. So either we've got some missing pins we haven't really checked or shorted, or a bad game slot that is now a suspect. But it's more than likely I've just got. In fact, let's just use this overhead. We haven't really checked any of my work. We kind of chucked it on, saw if it would work, and called it a day. So let's inspect. Did I actually? I'm gonna guess we've got one short or one floating pin, maybe. That one looks a bit dicey. Is that dicey? I think that's a floating pin right there. Yep, floating pin. So shall we just fix that one and presume that's the only issue? And then test again. So right by that dot. That one's on. Test again. We won't even bother looking anywhere else. Nope, not just that one. They look okay. They look okay. They look okay. Okay, so I will glance under this quickly for any other pins. I'll probably push on them as well. But we've got the crystal on. Yep, all of those pins are rock solid. So there's not one problem on them. Let's check the VDP. Yep, so everything's solid. Check the game slot. Yep, no issues at all with the soldering. So we've either would have had a bad chip, or I almost want to say it's this game, because I know this game can be bad at loading. Or what I should probably do is get the get the game slot off the other one that we know works. Yeah, so the sound when you pull out is a sign that it's actually attempted to load a game there and crashed. Oh, look at that. Look at what we have. So we wouldn't have succeeded because... Da-da! VDP. So there's your classic VDP. Stop in boot. So yeah, we would have had a bad VDP anyway. Which was actually the first suspicion that we had. So, but I don't have any more VDPs on me at the minute. We'd have to go to other Game Gears. But at least we know the other chips are very much likely working. In fact, I might have one. I think I've got one here actually. This one. Yeah, let's just quickly chuck this VDP on. So it's good in one way because it means at least the first chip we swapped wasn't a waste of time. But let's get this chip off over here. It's always the VDP. So common. Let's flux them up while I'm warming this one up. Two seconds, guys, just to make a phone call. VDP, yes, most likely VDP is bad. So I've got one here. The VDP always seems to be bad. It's like the most common failure. If you watch me doing these, it's literally the most common failure. So in one way, we would have still wasted X amount of time on the first one when we found out it was a game slot because the VDP was bad anyway. So at least that's some benefit. But that's just yet another VDP for the graveyard. Yeah, I turned audio off. I was just on a quick phone call. I just pressed the mute button. But we should be back now, obviously. No, the heat thing, I've kind of disproved that by having, say, a working board like this with a VDP on, and then I use it as a test board. So I'll take this VDP off, put another one on, prove if it works, put the old one back on, and I've had, like, say, a working VDP that I've removed and re-added, say, 7 times, and it still works. And I've done that multiple times. So I think it is just the simple fact that if you bear in mind, the VDP is driving all the data for the screen, so it's generating the most data of the whole system. Similar to like video RAM in Mega Drives, it's just the most active part. So I think it's just a natural thing that would fail because it's literally the thing that's the most active the most of the time. So it's getting the most intense use, basically. Ooh, that's boiling. I have to wait for that cool a minute. We do ship to the US by DHL only because Royal Mail don't really ship to the US now without a load of customs hassle. But yeah, we ship to the US every day by DHL. So you can buy offers and select DHL shipping. It's the only option. VDP stands for Video Display Processor, I'm pretty sure. Man, here we go again. I think that's just about cool enough. No, so maybe it wasn't that bad after all then. Maybe we did have a bunch of bad chips anyway. But the other one was a bad VDP. The VDP issue's gone now. We don't have that glitched graphic. Let's just check we don't get game audio. Try taking this out. And we know the crystal's good because we're getting black screen. We are getting border. So if you put the screen test on, the game... Ooh, something's hot on there. Oh yeah, touch the backlight driver, that will be hot. We're getting the test screen, so that means the Game Gear is running. It's out of reset and running, but it's just not loading a game. So that's like... we know it's not the crystal, basically. So we had a bad VDP because you saw the VDP bad. So maybe we did have a really bad... The chips are probably all come off one system as well. So let's rob... While we're here, we might as well rob the Z80 next again then. So looks like we did just have a bunch of bad chips. Well, I'm saying that. We did say it could still be this, didn't we? Could still be this game slot. Like, this is a different one, so let's just put that other game slot in that we know worked. Which we don't have now. Let's get another one out of here, because I know this one works. It's already in a working re-PCB, so I know this game slot works. It's literally sitting in the console that works. So let's see if this makes a difference. No, I didn't think it would. So I think Z80 then. And we'll take it off the console itself. So we'll get it off the other console we've just robbed the chips off. So yeah, this is how they can go sometimes. You can have ones where everything works first time and you can do loads in a row, and then you can have ones like this where pretty much everything that can go wrong does go wrong. Do we work on Wii's? No, we don't. Just too many parts, too many problems, and we don't like working on them, basically. So there's a limit to some things we don't work on, like PSPs, PS Vitas, PS3s, Nintendo Wii's. We've just limited what we work on, basically. So that's the new one. Let's take this off. If you've got a good working original, no, there's no real benefits as such other than it looking cool, and you're not going to ever get trace damage, I suppose, in future. Like, you know, from the strain of pressing the buttons over and over, you can fracture the traces. But this is mainly for if either you just want it because it's brand new and it looks cool and it's made by us kind of thing, or your board's, you know, too far gone or looking a bit damaged, so you want to kind of upgrade it. We're now up to nearly 10,000 likes off one person. That's got to be a screen clicker. That's a new Z80, a new VDP, but the VDP was definitely bad because we saw the glitch graphics. Or we're 99% sure it could have been something else. Almost never going to be. It's got the VDP visual issues. Ooh, come on, cool down. Yeah, we've officially named it the Rusty, so that one's gone, I'm afraid. Somebody said we need to get him a collar and hang the chip around his neck. Right, that should be cool enough now. Let's test this out. Nope. Yeah, the board's still a bit warm. Yeah, we can use the fan to cool the board down a bit quicker as well. Yeah, so I think the fact we're still not getting good on this. We could obviously swap the CPU, but I think what we should probably do is, well, I need to get one working anyway, but get a working board like I was going to before, and I think I'll start pre-testing the chips so we know for sure which chips are good, instead of just like hoping for the best. It seems like the two chips we get at the minute are that bad. We're dealing with too many unknowns, and, you know, swapping them, I think we'll just get a working board, a working 2-chip, and then I'll just transplant a load of chips between them and put, you know, smiley faces on them so we know they're good. Otherwise, could be at it all day wasting time one at a time. You know, if we'd use that previous working board to then just swap the chips off one at a time and prove they're good, we could have. That's what I was doing before. I think I just need to go back to that technique. So we're not just guessing every time we're building them, basically. The flicker, I do this kind of flicker test on screen like that because that kind of gives a hint that usually the CPU is running and it's trying to load something, but obviously failing. So the only last thing is disconnect the clean screen, because sometimes that can interfere on the ribbon, and listen out just for audio. Nope, no audio. No, so the chances are we've got potentially another dead VDP as the most obvious thing. We could have CPUs. So what I'll do, like I say, I'll get, not at the minute because I need to crack on with some other things, but I'll get a fully working re-PCB. And then we'll sit and swap all the chips on stream, and I'll just go through and start testing all the chips one at a time, including all these ones we've got. So we're not just wasting time and swapping random chips, basically. But we got the one, we needed two. I've got one, but I need to crack on with some other work. I need to get some software done before the end of day. So I'll call that one a day for now. And I will probably get, like I say, a working... well, I've got to get another one working. So the next thing I'll do is get another one working. And then we'll go through... I've got about 5 or 6 of the Game Gears that I can do, and we'll just build a load of re-PCBs whenever I decide, maybe tonight, maybe in the morning. But yeah, next one I come on, we'll go through a bunch more of these. So one win and one still in the middle that we've got to get working. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for all joining in, and we'll try and get, I think the poll works now, so the next time we come on, we can do polls with, or did it work with YouTube? I can't remember whether that poll thing was working. I think the poll thing was working, wasn't it, with YouTube? Or did it not work for some people? I can't actually remember. Let's jump back on and show that poll a minute. And there we go, that's back on. So yeah, it seems like it was working at some point. So if somebody on YouTube put one of those comments like vote thermal, for example, that's got nothing, like exclamation vote thermal, if you haven't voted before, it should register. I can't remember whether YouTube actually worked at the end. I think it worked for one person, then didn't work for the next. That's what made me unsure. But then if we know it works, we can start polls and say, like, you know, if you're on YouTube or Twitch, you can vote for things when we need to ask a question as we're going. And I can obviously, my vote always seems to work, so I can like put a vote in and change. My vote works straight away, but we've seen, obviously we've got 5 people that have managed to do the vote, including me, so 4 other people. But yeah, we'll try the poll next time and see if it works for everybody. Hopefully it does. And then, like I say, when we've got questions and things, it's easier than me trying to look through chat. You can actually just chuck a poll on screen and everybody can vote for things. So it's quite a useful feature. Actually, what I will try and do as well while we're on is let me just try and end that poll and see if it disappears off screen. Where is it? Back to dashboard. CloudBot. There we go. CloudBot. Polls. Right, yes, that's running at the minute. Let's try and end it. Yeah, cool. So when I end a poll, it just disappears. So if I start one, it pops up on screen. So that works good. Yeah, so I'll catch you guys all later or tomorrow.